Welcome back to the Lowe Down on the Floor, your weekly deep dive into the most unpredictable game show on TV. Fox is the floor. I'm your host, Zach, aka Trees, and tonight we are talking Giants falling, Legends rising, and randomized fate striking twice.
That's right. It was a night full of storybook twists, full circle battles, and yes, that pun was intended. Shout out to my boy. And I am Devin B. Road Trip, and we got a lot to cover.
And I am Scary Terry, and yes, I finally got my shot at money after weeks and weeks of waiting. I went head-to-head against David in Bodies of Water in my expert category, and it splashed just like my golf ball does.
That wasn't the only headline. Our guy Brian, the goat of all goats, the baddest contestant out there, the undisputed king of comeback duels, who's racked up more wins and more money than any non-champion in floor history, finally met his match.
That's right, into Zaf, who took on Brian in Fairy Tales and Fables and wrote a whole new ending to Brian's legendary run.
And we've also got Lisa, not only our contestant to be randomized first, but our first to be randomized first twice, who boldly took on European Geography against David, the 19-time Jeopardy champion. And if you think she backed down, you don't know Lisa.
We've got all that, plus power rankings, gameplay breakdowns, and a behind-the-scenes chat with Brian and Lisa about how it all went down.
And so, as always, let's start with some numbers. At this point, episode 11, 3 out of 8 duels were by people who had their expert category still, which is absolutely bananas. All these inherited categories going on, and yet 3 of them still were experts. And there's still 1 expert holding on to it. Shout out to Laurel, but we'll get to that later. And on this 8-duel day, 5 of the challengers won. I don't know if there's a correlation or causality on it, but we get to talk about that with you guys. And I know we normally start with, let's go through episode 11 and go through everything, but these 2 people that we have today started very, very early in the game. One dueled episode 1, the other dueled episode 2. And to say that you made it all the way to episode 11, we got to give you your flowers and hand claps and all those wonderful things. So Lisa, randomized, the very first person on the floor.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
Initially was, oh shit. After I got past that, I was like, okay, well, let's do this. And, I had just learned my options around me just before, minutes before I got randomized. So it hadn't really sunk in yet. And I had options that were not really compelling for me. I had the sports MVPs, which thankfully Terry took down later. And that was very scary for me. Sports MVPs, know nothing about that. I had haunted locations. I had yoga in front of me. And then I turned around and had pantry items, and I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is glorious. I can do this. This is my life. So pantry items saved the day. And then I stood there for the next 10 episodes after that win. That was it.
You might have unlocked my favorite meme of the internet of our whole season, the Lisa chill encounter, which was literally 86 duels deep. It was like, how long will Lisa get to just stand here from episode 1 on over? And to tell the truth, you made it so that everybody got randomized before it actually came back to you. And so was that another moment when it finally landed on you again, first, twice?
I talking to Terry about that before it happened, kind of predicting that it was going to happen. I was like, I'm just feeling like it's going to be me. And we had some chit chat. Then Ted joined the conversation just before it actually happened. And just talking to Terry, it was, well, I can't beat you. I can't beat Laurel. I can't beat David. So, what do I do? And so Terry's like, well, if you we went through the options. Came up with, I'm just going to take David off of the European geography just to give it a more even playing field for the remaining 10. So that's what I did. But, I'm reading on everything, Reddit and Facebook. It's like, oh, she sacrificed herself. I didn't. I didn't. I didn't have an option. I wasn't going to win. I didn't sacrifice a win. I didn't have a path to win at that point. Which here's a funny thing for you, numbers guy, Devin. Um, Me getting randomized, I only had the option of three people that were all still in their expert category. Those were my only options.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they were the only three on the floor. Me and the three around me were the only four people on the floor that still had our original category. And I got randomized, and my only options were three freaking experts in their categories. How's that?
Yo, I did not realize that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you screwed three ways to Sunday. I'm sorry, Lisa.
exactly.
In
Exactly.
three very specific kind of categories, not the more
Yeah,
general ones like you've done that. But I know
yeah,
Lisa, you said those options, and I've kind of played back everybody's out asking me like around two, like why'd she do that? And like I'm like,
yeah.
she really thought like she in those three categories of what you're studying in there being expert categories was I said her option one was go against Laurel and the Crown, and she said she doesn't know the royalty thing, but
Nothing.
if she would freeze up or something, you have a chance to win 20 grand. I go, you can go against me, and I was trying to say you can go against me and go home, but I mean, I'm not saying one thing. Now I'm wishing she would have went against me. Hindsight in all the different ways, and if you haven't played the game differently in your head since you've been home,
Oh yeah,
well, maybe not Brian here. We'll hear from him in a minute because I'd play exactly the way he did if I could.
yeah.
But or kind of like you said, a way of leveling the playing field because I don't know if anybody else if she doesn't challenge David, if she challenges me and I win, I'm gonna go back to the floor in weddings and
Yeah.
keep that, hoping somebody challenges me because I have officiated many weddings, DJed many weddings too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, but but if she doesn't, I don't think any of the 9 or 10 players left are going to seek out and say, "I want David in European geography." So I think he's down
Right.
to the final two if she
Mhm.
doesn't do what she did. We'll never know,
Yeah.
but that was it. And Lisa, um, it was fun being your neighbor the whole time, and I know Brian was your neighbor for quite some time too, and,
Yeah.
and we were kind of all over there. So awesome game you played.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a great time. It was fun. And I came out a winner. I felt great. I felt
Yeah.
great walking off that stage, and the love that I got from everybody, the little powwow, and it was it was emotional in a sense, like, oh, this is awesome. I freaking won. And I felt like a winner, and I loved every minute of it. It was great.
And
Well,
what was funny was the camera loved you. They did a lot of edit cuts to your comments to the other players of people who were going up and stuff. So
Yeah.
in a way, you were never forgotten, even though you were the first one. You were always referred to at least once almost every episode.
and
Yeah.
I think going to what you were saying there too of being there, Lisa, I don't think people knowing, and you can look up in between episodes and what you're doing, like your category was a very category, even though it was kind of general, that in a way of
Mhm.
what it could be, people knew you own a wedding chapel in Vegas and you did, like I said, you do multiple weddings a day, sometimes double digit
Yes.
weddings per day. So I think when they say the Lisa standing counter, it was almost a compliment from other players
Yeah.
of I'm not quite sure I want to do a coin flip and go against Lisa. So
Right.
speaking of
I had a
winners,
speech. I had a speech for you, Lisa. I was like, I've been married twice. I know something about weddings. I could go up there. That was. But Terry, can I go back to what's going on? Brian, I got some numbers for you, and Terry asked
Sure.
me to put some numbers down for you before you go into your strategy starting from episode two. Of
Okay.
course, Brian has the most duels won. Nope, the most duels competed in the history of the floor in 10. He has the most victories in 9. He has the most inherited territories of 8. The most money won by non-champion at $110,000. And this number kind of tripped me out. You competed in 7 of the 12 episodes. So it's not like you was an idle player. Some people only get to compete 1 episode, 2 episodes max. 7 out of the 12 episodes, you had to walk your happy self on that stage and
Mhm.
face some kind of adversity, most of the time with a category that was not of your own. And I also did your pass rate. You had, of course, 81 total correct answers and Only 10 passes. So that's about 11% pass rate altogether. And I just didn't know if you knew all your numbers. So walk us through your rationale of taking out Logan and taking that money out her children's mouths. I'm just playing.
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, the only numbers that count is the 250, whoever wins, the 110 that I won, the 40 that Lisa won, the
So,
20, the
Kathy.
20,
Kathy.
and going on. Those are the numbers in the end. That's legitimate, tangible numbers. The rest is fantasy football. That's it. It's fantasy football numbers. If they make a video game and you want to play a certain player, I'd pick me if I'm in the game. That's all I'd say. But otherwise, the numbers game that I keep hearing from other people about, hey, there's a power chart being done. I'm like, who the fuck cares about a power chart? I'm sorry if there's no cursing on the show. I apologize. But who cares? The numbers that matter are the 7 numbers of money that was distributed. After that, pass, no pass. I did so many. It's nice. It's a nice little niche or little trophy I can make myself behind me. And that's about it. As far as the strategy, I was challenged first from behind. The person behind me challenged me to do it. So I got in the game immediately. Now, we had all only seen season 1 coming into to do this. So we had no history, really. We knew that the chick with foreign food in the back corner eventually won because she rarely played. And I thought, oh, if you're not picked early on, you could skate to only have to do 3 or 4 duels to win the 250. I bet. So now I get picked, second episode, which at first people were like, when the first episode, we have an Olympic diver with us. We have a couple from The Bachelor. We have a globetrotter. All my friends blew up my phone going like, don't they know that you're on the show? And I was like, settle down. It's only the first episode. So then when the second episode happened, and yes, I'm picked for my category, convenience store items, which I literally threw at the producers as like a tongue-in-cheek thing. My first choice would have been hockey. Terry knows I'm a huge hockey nut. Second would have been Comic-Cons. I'm pretty much at a Comic-Con every 2 weeks. Third would have been comics. Fourth would have been sci-fi. And then I was like, well, I've been known to hang around a convenience store from time to time. Ha, ha, ha. And that's what the producers latched onto. So it is what it is. I still got to have hockey in my show because I wore the hockey jersey. So when the strategy was that I got picked second episode, I'm like, this is not a good sign to try to win the whole thing. So then my strategy was win a day. Win myself 20K. I'm done. Check, please. I'll be good. Whatever happens from that point, I'm happy. So when I got challenged, I got to win my category. I think I went back. I can't remember. Or no, I immediately then challenged Madeline with her architecture. I travel a lot. She had amassed 3 squares or 4 squares at that point. And I was like, all right, let's do this. Now, that one was a bit of a back and forth. She stumbled on the Trans-America building in San Francisco, which is like, besides the Golden Gate Bridge, it's the second most recognizable building in structure in San Francisco. So that being said, I was like, oh, because she was like, who knows the Trans-America building? I'm like, almost everybody. So when I won that, and then I got people going like, oh my God, thank God you got rid of her. And I'm like, that's not nice. I understand it, but that's not nice. Then the topic of films, classic films. I'm like, this is in my wheelhouse. If I get this, I can get a time boost and get the most squares. It's on. And so that's why I chose to do classic films, not knowing that Logan had no clue about classic films and was able to win the first day. Or the first time I got to win the 20.
And one thing I appreciate, at that point, we've only seen season 1, we've seen season 2, and watching the active well, but also being semi-smart, because once you got it, you weren't trying to shirk away from playing more. It just how it happened. Because here comes episode 4, and our Yogi himself is like, hey, let's go for Brian and these inventions, which that might have been one of your closer duels If he had no popsicles, it might have been a little bit closer. Go figure. I guess you don't eat popsicles as a yogi. I don't know.
But I was mad at Mr. Yoga too, but not in a way there. You have to know Brian's played, he's done it, he's get there. And if he loses, he just gave Brian directors.
Oh my
Directors,
God.
which I'm glad. I would never, like I said, there was a chance in 21st Century Things, if it came down to a $20,000 decision, I might have tried to play a Brian or somebody who was there, but not in directors. I would have looked really silly going back and saying you can play Brian for 20 grand of a last one of an episode in directors or not, and I would have said no, I'm not going to play him because my game's over. I'm not going to take a 20-80 chance of something going on there because Brian's already proven he's not going to freeze up there. In Brian, for those watching this podcast, thinking like, oh, he won the 110, he does all this. One of the Brian, I appreciated the comments and the help you gave to everybody around you, really that would reach out to you and says, but you had been up there and experienced it. And even when I remember going up there, you told me, focus on your screen and say what you see. He simplified it for me. We talked about this in one of the earlier podcasts. Really simplified it of now my first one was more of a
say it, see it, say it,
Yep.
see it, say it. That's it.
And we did say some people that did freeze up during there. We're like, Brian does have some experience of like being on camera, being on this, but that doesn't matter if you don't know what you're seeing or saying. I go, it just was one of those things of a comfort level where other people got up there and they saw it, where they definitely knew that was a space toilet, but they couldn't say it. I mean, the comfort level of being up there, I think was there. Going back to Devin, your book and in Brian's journey through there, but once he got directors, then it was really going to take somebody to say, "Oh, I want a chance to say I took out Brian."
Or
because to think
get
you're going to beat him,
randomized.
Or you get
have no
randomized
choice. In rodeo.
and you have no choice.
you have no
but to
choice.
play.
Wyatt.
An island of Brian.
Yeah.
Island of Brian.
And be honest, I don't think anybody would have wanted if any roles were reversed, just like Lisa with weddings. Nobody was going to want to challenge Wyatt in rodeo.
Exactly.
No.
Tony and math. Do you know what I mean? Like there was a lot of people that were like, "Yo, I don't want to mess with that." So.
Mhm.
End of story. I mean, last season, nobody touched periodic table, and the dude won it.
Did that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that cast did not go because they were like, hell no. And that's the thing. Future players out there, people want to apply, find a topic that's impossible that people are like, ooh, nuclear physics, get away. You know what I mean? And you could be a bluffer. There was sushi chef woman, not a sushi chef, not at all. She bluffed her way into that one. But once she got up there, she was like, steak. You know what I mean? Like, idea.
Deviled egg.
Oh, man.
You know that, you know?
Oh.
And a lot of it comes down to like your internal RAM, right? Like it's not just, you can study all you want, but if you can't access that fast enough, it doesn't matter how much of an expert you are if the other person's faster.
And there's a factor here that I've seen on the Reddits, I've seen on the blogospheres and other people's podcasts that people aren't getting. And because they're not in the game, they've not done it. When you're shooting 3 episodes a day, by that 3rd episode, and we're standing, yes, we're given comfort breaks. Yes, there's a break for lunch. Yes, there's a break for dinner, to which people are studying. They're going to, there were some cats there with 2 laptops, a phone, a giant binder with every category, and I would say to them, they literally are smoking pot while drinking alcohol, while huffing helium, thinking that's going to sink in. Like when you overload, to me, when you overload yourself like that, it's going to be a failure. But fatigue is definitely something that you saw in some people.
Yeah, they're probably full of those jellies and chips.
Candy and all
Yeah.
that.
You're on a sugar rush and you're starting to crash.
Right. And then, people have emotional ties to other contestants who then get eliminated and would then get back to the green room, the holding area after an episode and be like, oh, I can't believe so-and-so's gone.
Yeah, they were emotionally hurting
and
themselves.
I would be like, you knew this was coming, right? You knew what the end of this game is, right? Like there were a lot of people who were like, whoa. And I'm like, you have to relax. this is the way it goes, man. You just got to relax and you just focus on you. You met them. You're gonna see them again. It's not like they're walking them out and shooting them in the parking lot. They're just getting in a Uber back to the hotel, and you'll see them again.
And so I got to say this for any future fellow contestants. There's two things I want you to take away from this podcast, and this has come from me. This might not be the recommendation from everyone else on this podcast. Number one, if you get on the stage, see it, say it. That's something you should hold true to your heart. And number two, study your Black history, people. Study your Black history. Study your Black history.
For real.
That's the two things I want to say to you.
I met up with Brian about a month ago. This was after the show. We met and we were talking about the episodes so far, and it's like we couldn't believe some of the people that were in things that they knew everything else, but then that was something. And if you want to go on a show and you're not thick-skinned and you don't want to get beat up on the internet because the internet is full of a lot of keyboard bandits, then don't go there and not know who Malcolm X is or who, like, I mean, in general, don't make that your category. So
or avoid it like the plague.
Yeah, or avoid it. Or
I know
avoid
a lot of people avoided change makers just because they didn't want to risk anything.
Or
SNL,
realize.
that.
Or the other thing is to realize people of color are in part of everything. Everything. You can't try to whitewash them out. That ain't gonna happen. As much as certain administrations want to do that, ain't happening. Baby. Study your true history, the full compass of history.
Yeah. Oh, let me pull out my book. I gotta do my job. All right. Do one. Do one. Zaf takes out Brian in his inherited territory of fairy tales, which starting that episode off was a crazy shift. He was like, oh man, Brian is out. I gotta go to you, Lisa. Seeing that go down, what were you feeling at that moment?
I really wanted to duel fairy tales, so I was really kind of bummed about that. I was hoping Brian was still going to be there and I could take fairy tales and take all that territory if I got randomized, which was only a couple duels away. And so that just really bummed me out. It bummed me out to see Brian go. I love you, Brian. Brian,
I love you too,
you're
Kat.
awesome. You're so good on the show. And it's so helpful with me, with everybody around us, everybody that went up, like others have said. And so it was kind of a twofold, like, oh, Brian's gone. This is sad. And fairy tales is gone. This is really sad because now I'm stuck with all this other shit that I can't do. So it was a twofold, real big bummer for me.
All right, so let me unload some more misery on you.
Yeah.
Zaf then goes after Amanda in languages. I was kind of curious to see how that went down, but if I were you, I'd be glad that it was gone because I didn't have any parts. Because I actually did pretty well with languages. I don't think I could have beat Zaf, but I was like, that sounds angry. That's either German or Russian. I'm like, I can figure this out just by the sounds of it. And then we had the Marvel duel, which I don't know if we could go through all the details of the hullabaloo that was the Marvel duel, but 3 seconds is the difference between Zaf getting his time boost and Baron being the winner. What was going on through that process, seeing that incredibly close duel since you were still on the floor?
Well, the whole duel took about an hour and a half. So, Terry was there, kind of shit show. We had to retake some of that duel. So it was a very long process. It had a couple breaks in it. We had a 30-minute break at one point. Zaf and Baron are up on stage doing push-ups.
They had a push-up contest where Zaf did 51 and Baron did 50.
Oh,
they could have gave me all 11 episodes to do 50, and it wasn't happening.
That's young people shit, ain't it? That's some young people shit.
Yeah, last night on our Zoom, Baron said that he won by one. He thought he won by
maybe
one.
that was it. All I know is I would have had a better chance of eating 50 of those orange push-ups in the little toilet bowl, the toilet paper cardboard. I could eat 50 of those. So
it was funny because once you're off the show and they bring you for a post interview and then they have you in like a mental health space, that is everything okay? And I told them like, I'm good, guys. You don't have to worry about me.
I have 110 reasons I'm so
I'm
good.
not going to be upset. Like, right. But at the same time, I then saw someone else come And I was like, whoa, what are you doing here? And then then we started hearing that things technically started to go downhill. And I said, so wait a minute, are you saying since I've left, things have gone to hell?
For real,
Yes.
Brian. For real.
I kind of knew it. I kind of
Right
knew it.
after you left. Yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna rush through it because I know we run out of time. This is such a good conversation. Oh, we had classic cars Clint holding on by the skin of his teeth. And then David enters the chat. And we've been talking about David this whole show about, wait a minute, there's a 19-time Jeopardy winner over there in the corner just doing his thing. And it's almost like the final boss just lurking out there. And he tries to play strategically, but then eventually it lands on our boy, our homie, our big dog. Terry, you said bring it on. You said bring it on. Why? Why, Terry?
Because I knew it was coming. He in all of this stuff that was before and if you're afraid to go up there and play,
Scare
then
money
you
don't
shouldn't
make
be
money.
there. You shouldn't be there. And I had an opportunity. He gave me an opportunity to win $10,000. He could have went for Laurel and took 20 if he said he was that comfortable in poetry, The Crown, and Bodies of Water. But I think some things came of that. David is a genius, and especially in geography of those kind of things, you don't win 19 episodes of Jeopardy without being uber smart. So when he came back and he said his goals were to, make it to the final episode and win some money, I knew where it was going. He knew where it was going. And I still, to this day, we've talked about the way we study, the way we've studied our own category, what we've known. I had a category that you study, versus maybe one that you have knowledge of. Like of you, it's going to be a bunch of things in that. So I studied, and this is not excuse at all because
Yeah.
David beat me. I'm talking about items in San Francisco. If you don't know San Francisco Bay, you probably aren't going to get it. I passed twice.
I was yelling at the screen. I was like, the pay.
I passed once, and then the last one I only had 3 seconds. So I felt my part of studying was just like the European geography that Lisa did against David. They had all of Europe on the map. I was studying mostly all of the world on the map, and they light up put a red dot on where you go, because I would challenge a lot of people that know where the Mediterranean Sea is, but when it was zoomed in and it's the shape of it, it's a little bit different. And readjusting to every single map at a different zoom, a different thing. Yeah. It did. When I went up there and they said it is going to be a zoomed version of an area, and you identify the body of water or the highlighted body of water in that area, I had that moment of,
oh no.
No, not that. I still know the bodies of water, but it's not going to be as fast. And when it's not as fast against someone like that, that happened. And there was probably, like I'm doing right now, I mean, I can get scary, but I don't know if he was trying to scare Scary Terry by yelling a little bit.
So this is my theory, Terry.
Yeah.
That's just the way you do it in quiz competitions. You see it, say it fast and all that. I don't think he was trying to intimidate you, but it did come off strange.
Yeah.
It was very much louder than his other ones that he had before. And I think part of that I can take as a compliment there, because I think he thought I knew my category.
As you should. You sitting on it.
Which it was. So no regrets on that. But like I said, I only dueled twice. I got to duel my own category. But going back to the whole experience, and I go there. Like I said, I'm the last one of the episode. We'll see what David decides to do next week. Will he keep playing with weddings, or is he going to go back to the floor and let people come to him? But I think of all of it, what we learned a little bit, you guys were talking about fatigue and tired. And once we were at day 10, I felt like everybody there was pretty locked in. Of the 17 people that were there, even though we had been through what it was, I was like, there are some really good competitors here. And I was looking at the 10 when I was there, the 10 categories left. I'll be honest, there were 5 of them. I know, Devin, when we do this, every duel in every category, you're like, I could have done that. There were 5 that I wouldn't have done well in at all. I mean, where I'm on the end, where I'm like, there's 5 categories out there going into this last one where I feel like if I have to play it or defend it, I'm not going to do very well. But there were still 4 that I felt like I could have done very well and say it go. And I kept saying
Yeah,
that
me
to
too.
myself. But that's the game. And in the end, it is a game. And it's, you go to there to win money, play for money. We got this bonus out of it. If I got to meet the four of you, and that's what people don't realize when they talk about the relationships built and those kind of things, they're real. But at the same point, they're real. But like Brian said earlier, they're real, but they're gonna go home. So I didn't cry when Devin left. I was like, man, he's not gonna be at my table to talk to anymore. I didn't cry when Zach left. He left his binder. Like so all those things. But it was a great thing that you knew every night when you leave, like he said, there were gonna be those friends waiting for you at the exit hotel. And props to, like, I know we talked a little bit about episode 11 having some this and that, but they got it right. Fox treated us right. They got it right. My time is done on the show, but I know that we do this thing, and I'll start it off, Devin, of my picks. I'm going to go a little different when you say, hey, no spoilers, who you picking going forward. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick people, like, we all got close to different people on the show, like that we felt were near us, close to us, that we kept in contact with. So my picks moving forward was, I hope Laurel does well in her crown. She always rubbed my head for luck. That wasn't there. You guys don't know this, but an ice cream truck came later in the week, and we had an ice cream truck, and she shared her ice cream with me. And then Ted, being a lawyer, and he did so good in his punctuation battle. He was quick. He hasn't battled much. Ted and I have met up outside of this too. So I'm really pulling for two people that I was close to on the floor, and I'm excited to watch next week.
Lisa, who's your winner pick? Quick.
Andrew.
Bam. Brian, who's your winner pick? Quick.
Tony.
Bam. I got to go Team Alex. I've been Team Alex this whole time, so I can't switch up now. Otherwise, I'll be a fake and a phony. What about you, Zach?
Alex or Ted, I think.
Massive thanks to Brian and Lisa for joining us and giving us the inside scoop. And honestly, whether you're first duel or you're 58th, the floor doesn't care, and it humbles everybody eventually.
But hey, I held my own. David might has his maps, but I had depth. Got there.
Don't forget to follow, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube for more recaps, interviews, and spicy floor takes every week.
And if you got questions, comments, or prediction, or if you think you could be David in European geography, hit us up at the Lowe Down on the floor at gmail.com or drop it in the comments.
Until next time, keep your categories closed, your buzzer hand closer, and the only other person other than Rob Lowe to say this in the history of the floor, Brian, would you say it one more time for us?
Activate the randomizer.
You know what the real tragedy about all this is? I'm not even supposed to be here today!
Oh, fuck you!